Anne Boleyn and Princess Diana lived hundreds of years apart. One was a queen in Tudor England, the other a princess in modern Britain. But their stories, strangely similar. Both married powerful men. Both became icons. And both ended up betrayed by the very system that promised them everything. Let's go back to the beginning. Anne Boleyn didn't come from royalty. She was born into a noble family, but not one at the top of the ladder. As a teenager, she was sent to Europe and got the kind of education most girls didn't get. She learned how to speak French, dress with style, and carry herself with confidence. When she came back to England, people noticed her right away, especially the king. But here's something wild. Before Henry VIII fell in love with Anne, he had an affair with her sister, Mary Boleyn. Now fast forward to the 1980s. Prince Charles meets a young Diana Spencer. She's sweet, shy, and only 19 when they get engaged. But guess what? He actually dated her older sister Sarah first, just like Henry with the Boleyn sisters. So from the start, both Anne and Diana were not the first choice, but they were the ones who ended up at the center of the royal spotlight. Henry became obsessed with Anne. She refused to sleep with him unless he made her queen. That was bold and dangerous. He spent years trying to get a divorce from his first wife, Catherine of Aragon. When the Pope wouldn't allow it, Henry broke from the Catholic Church, changed the religion of an entire country, just to marry Anne. Diana's story wasn't as dramatic on paper, but emotionally, just as intense. The royal family needed a bride for Charles, someone young, proper, and quiet. Diana checked all the boxes, but what she didn't know was that Charles was still in love with someone else, Camilla Parker Bowles. Anne and Diana were both pulled into marriages built on shaky foundations. The love wasn't solid, and over time things started to fall apart. Anne gave birth to a daughter, Elizabeth. Henry was disappointed. He wanted a son to carry on the Tudor name. Anne had a few more pregnancies, but none of the babies survived. That gave Henry the excuse he needed to turn against her. In 1536, Anne was arrested and accused of adultery, incest, and even plotting to kill the king. All the charges were probably made up, but it didn't matter. She was executed by sword at the Tower of London. Diana didn't lose her head, but she did lose her voice. Behind the royal smiles and fairy tale image, she was deeply unhappy. Her marriage was falling apart, and Charles was still seeing Camilla. Diana developed an eating disorder, struggled with depression, and eventually spoke out in a TV interview that shocked the world. She said, "There were 3 of us in this marriage, and the public knew exactly what she meant." Soon after that, the Queen pushed for a divorce. Diana lost her royal title, and just a year later, she died in a car crash in Paris, chased by paparazzi, trying to escape the spotlight that never left her alone. Anne was 35 when she died. Diana was 36. Both were young, both were mothers, and both had become bigger than the royal system they married into. But here's where things get even more connected. Diana was actually related to Anne Boleyn through Anne's sister, Mary. Remember Mary Boleyn, the sister Henry was with first? She had children, and her daughter, Catherine Carey, had kids who married into other noble families. Over generations, that line led straight to the Spencer family, Diana's family. So yes, Diana was a descendant of Mary Boleyn. That means Anne was technically her many times great-aunt. It's kind of amazing to think about. Anne Boleyn was executed for not giving Henry a male heir. But today, her sister's descendant, Diana, gave birth to Prince William, a future king. Anne's bloodline didn't end at the scaffold. It came full circle. Both Anne and Diana were also incredibly popular with the people. Anne was smart, fashionable, and pushed for new ideas. She supported religious reform and wasn't afraid to speak her mind, something many men at court hated. Diana was warm, emotional, and deeply caring. She hugged AIDS patients when others wouldn't. She walked through minefields to raise awareness. She connected with people in a way few royals ever had. But that popularity came at a price. Anne was seen as too powerful. She got involved in politics, influenced the king, and made enemies. Eventually, those enemies convinced Henry to get rid of her. Diana, too, became too much for the palace, too famous, too emotional, too honest. She exposed the cracks in the royal image, and the crown didn't like that. Anne was silenced with a sword. Diana was shut out, worn down, and abandoned by the very institution that once celebrated her. Still, neither of them was truly forgotten. Anne's daughter, Elizabeth I, went on to become one of the most powerful rulers in English history. Diana's son, William, is now next in line to the throne, and through him, both women's legacies live on. They weren't perfect. They made mistakes, but they were brave enough to speak out, to stand up, and to be more than just royal ornaments. They were human, and that's why people loved them. Anne Boleyn and Princess Diana, two women who lived centuries apart, but who walked the same path, faced the same system, and paid the same price for trying to live on their own terms. And in the end, they changed history, not just with their deaths, but with the power of their stories.